distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Now, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
Love the opportunity to talk sports each and every Sunday with you. Final one of the year. Happy New Year's, everyone. Our producer, Drew Young, and I'm Tom Ackerman. Scott Jagow will have the news at the top of the hour again at 11. We'll go till noon. We have the Chiefs and Bengals at 3:25. Dan Dierdorf joins us at 11:45 today to wrap up our show. Really looking forward to catching up with Dan, the Hall of Famer, not only as a player, but a broadcaster, one of the best to do it. Monday Night Football analyst, started his career, as you know, right here on KMOX. He's one of the legendary figures to grace our radio station airwaves, without a doubt. And again, it's just great to be able to unwind and talk sports on these Sundays. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed it here. And as Mike Shannon would say, as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. We've had a good year. I know that in the standings, it's been very difficult for Cardinals fans to take and for Blues fans to take, for that matter. But, you know, these are franchises that are going to be here for a long, long time and are going to turn it around. And here on KMOX, we will continue to analyze and watch what it takes for this team to turn it around. We talk to the people that are in charge of doing so often here on Sports on a Sunday Morning. So our thanks to John Mozeliak for making himself available almost every week. Doug Armstrong, for example, has been very kind to join us. Tom Stillman joined us last week, and on it goes. St. Louis City SC, Lutz Pfannenstiel, every single week joined us during the season on Sundays. Travis Ford, the head coach of the Billikens, will be with us at 10:30 today. He'll talk about it with us. His program, which has had a long layoff. They'll play on Wednesday, finally. They haven't played for a while. We're going to talk to Matt Pauley, our Sports Open Line host here at 10:15, about this past year, the good, the bad, the ugly, and what's to come. Ford at 10:30, Blues breakdown at 10:45. We'll go into the locker room and hear Drew Bannister and players after a 4-2 loss to the Penguins. 11:15, a little college football as we look at what happened not only yesterday. I have some thoughts on that, but what's to come for Alabama, Michigan, Texas, Washington, Mizzou, of course, with their tremendous win and what that means for the brand. 11:30, a little baseball. A couple moves yesterday. Cardinals fans would like their team to make similar moves, I think. Chris Sale, not these players in particular, but just add depth to the rotation. Chris Sale goes to the Braves. It's a big risk. He has a little big injury history, but Alex Anthopoulos gets the benefit of the doubt from everybody. I mean, when the Braves make a move these days, he's earned this spot where everybody says, well, you know, that's probably a great move. You know, that usually works out for the Braves, et cetera, et cetera. We'll see. Vaughn Grissom was traded to the Red Sox for Chris Sale. Reds signed Frankie Montas. Interesting. You know, 1 year, $16 million deal. This is a Reds team to watch. They're young. They get the pitching in place. They could be really good. Montas has had an up and down career so far, also with some injury history. So we'll see where that goes and what the Cardinals' counter move is. I do think the Cardinals are going to make another move. I've said that all along. I think that they are willing to spend for a reliever, and we'll see where they go with it. I think they are interested in making a trade. They already made one, though, with Tyler O'Neill, and they get a little skittish, rightfully so, about trading away any prospects. These prospects tend to go on and have great careers, and the Cardinals have grown some really good young players that I think they'd like to retain. At the same time, I think we all know that they need to bulk up this rotation. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And then Dan Dierdorf at 11:45. Not only do I want to ask him about Michigan playing Alabama tomorrow for one piece of the college football playoff, but also about what happened last night in the NFL. It's a bad look for the NFL, and they continue to have bad looks, and good. But the NFL is such a power that I hope they care about what happened last night. I know that the Dallas Cowboys are still the most popular team in the league. They're also the biggest villain in the league, which is why so many people watch them. But they won a game they shouldn't have won last night, 20-19. The Lions should have won the game. The Lions reported an eligible receiver, and that eligible receiver caught the ball and scored the game-winning two-point conversion. The problem was Brad Allen, the official, didn't see it that way. He thought a different player was the eligible receiver, number 70, and so 68 catches the ball, but he thought 70 was the eligible receiver, because the Lions, I think, tried to pull a fast one on the Cowboys by bringing all these linemen to the official. It ends up blowing up in their face. They didn't confuse the Cowboys as much as they confused the officials. The NFL's got to get that right. I mean, that can't happen. Well, imagine that happening. It's bad enough that it's going to hurt the Lions from their playoff seeding. They could have had a much higher seed. Now they got to get some help after this loss. But what if that happens? What if that decides a playoff game? What if that decides the Super Bowl? We already had a holding call last year that everybody is still complaining about. What if that happened in the Super Bowl? That is a debacle that the NFL has got to fix. I mean, you can't just have a situation where a game can be decided because the official didn't see the report of an offensive lineman. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean, to put it plain and simple, Taylor Decker, number 68, catches the pass. That should have been it then and there, but it wasn't. They actually went for 2 a second time after that penalty, which I would not have done. I mean, I absolutely kicked the extra point there after you've been moved back. But they go for the throat again, don't get it, but Dallas is offsides. They get a third chance moving up, and they go for 2, and it's incomplete, and Dallas wins the game. And Detroit has to sit there with Taylor Decker having caught a pass to win it, and they celebrated and had no idea that it was an ineligible receiver. Dan Campbell's going ballistic on the sideline because he said, I told you. He told the officials before the game that they would run a play with 68. If you watch the video, it's pretty clear that 68 is told by Jared Goff, go report. He goes to the official, and he's like 2 feet away from his nose. And a guy who's 10 feet away or more, Dan Skipper, number 70, is like he barely looks at 70. But he says that 70, if you look at the pool report, Brad Allen's report afterwards, is that 70 was the eligible receiver. Therefore, 68's ineligible. That's a tough break for the Detroit Lions. And really, NFL fans are going to, well, I mean, the NFL is such a behemoth that it'll probably get glossed over and they'll just move on. But I'm telling you, if something like that happens in a Super Bowl, it's history. It's bad for the league. Do they care? We'll find out. We don't have a great relationship with the NFL around here. My relationship with the NFL is very casual. I covered it for a long time. I enjoyed covering it for you, for Rams fans. Now I understand where our audience is. Our audience, I think, is a lot like me. I think it's casual. It's something to have on in the house while you're doing stuff. I don't know how into it you are unless you really have a team that the Chiefs or somebody that you now live and die with. But for me, it's just a casual entertainment. It's such a monster right now that I guess it's great for the economy and all that good stuff. But it's, I just don't trust the league anymore. After what happened around here, I just don't. I look at the league with a skeptical eye. I appreciate the talent of the players. There's no doubt about that, and of the coaches. But the league, to me, I just, it's very suspect all the time for me. It doesn't feel. It feels dirty. It doesn't feel pure. Not a lot of sports are pure. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. I get it, but that one is just like out in your face. I just don't ever trust anything anymore. I'll watch it. I'll enjoy the Super Bowl. I'm not going to invest my life emotionally in the NFL anymore, unless some billionaire comes and swoops the team up and brings it to St. Louis for another try and pays for everything. Then I might get a little more interested. Let's take a timeout. When we come back, we'll talk to Matt Pauley about everything sports in 2023. We have Travis Ford waiting at 10:30. We have the Blues at 10:45. We have college football at 11:15. We have baseball at 11:30. We have Dan Deerdorf at 11:45. Good show. Chiefs and Bengals at 3:25 right here on KMOX.
For everything online, it's Odyssey.com. Download the Odyssey app and listen to The Dave Glover Show and all the news, talk, sports, and podcasts that move you. Odyssey, that's AUDACY.
Ever heard a podcast that made you say, wow, they really said that? Risk is the show where people tell true stories they never thought they'd dare to share. Listeners say the show makes them burst out laughing and crying, good crying. Some say it saved their lives. Surprising honesty, the most jaw-dropping moments that are stranger than fiction. Think you've heard it all? Wait till you hear Risk. Available on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
It says here that Graybar is a distributor.
Yeah, we support electrical and datacom projects all over the country.
So you can get me the products I need, where and when I need them?
Yeah, thanks to our national logistics network.
Any industry?
Yeah, construction, industrial plants, schools, hospitals.
So you could say Graybar is much more than a distributor.
Yeah, you could say that. When you need a hand powering, connecting, or maintaining your operations, join the thousands of professionals who rely on Graybar to help keep them up and running. Yeah, Graybar does that.
Happy holidays, St. Louis. It's your Congresswoman, Cori Bush, here to wish you a safe and joyful holiday season. Our office has proudly helped thousands of constituents over the years, and we are ready to help thousands more. We can assist you with Social Security and Medicare, tax refunds, passports, veterans benefits, small business loans, immigration, and more. Visit our website at bush.house.gov or call our office at 314-955-9980. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
The T.R. Hughes Homes for the Holiday Sale is going on now for the rest of the year with unbelievable savings. Hi, I'm Tom Hughes with T.R. Hughes Homes. We have several brand new completed T.R. Hughes homes that are ready now for immediate move-in. Some of these homes are already discounted between $30,000 and $50,000 off regular price, and each home will be discounted another $5,000 every week in December until they're gone. Wait a week or two or three for a lower price and take the chance someone else just bought your dream home. Wooded half-acre home sites in Arbor Valley and Winsville. A beautiful country setting in Riverdale, just 9 minutes from the St. Peter's Deerbergs, and Charlestown Landing in St. Charles City near Newtown. Don't miss this unbelievable chance to save tens of thousands of dollars on completed, move-in ready T.R. Hughes homes. This sale is over on December 31st. All of us at T.R. Hughes Homes would like to say thank you to the several thousand families that have trusted us to build your dream home over the last 30 years. From our family to yours, we would like to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a safe and prosperous New Year.
Welcome back to the Graybar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Graybar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win. Billikens win.
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
10:18, joined now by Sports Open Line host Matt Pauley, live on this New Year's Eve. Good morning, Matt. Happy New Year to you.
Good morning, Tom. Happy New Year to you.
How are you doing? What do you think about your year? First, let me talk about you personally. I'm going to just embarrass you for a moment. You've had a great year. It's great to have you here now. You were with us last season, but it's great to have you for a full season. You did a terrific job. You host Sports Open Line. You do Cardinals pregame, postgame on weeknights for us. Big part of the network. And you got an opportunity to call play-by-play at the major league level for the Cardinals in your old town. You're from here, but in your previous city of Milwaukee. That's a pretty good year.
Yeah, and my wife is pregnant too, so we're gonna have our first child
Yes, sir.
born in St. Louis. You know, our first daughter was born in Wisconsin. So this literally was one of the best years of my life. 2023 was amazing for all the reasons you mentioned, plus much, much more.
I love to hear it, buddy. And look, we're going to start with the Cardinals because I know that this is a rough year for everybody, including us. I mean, we want high expectations to be the standard around here. You should, every year, the Cardinals' goal, and the fans should want the goal to be a world championship. And that's not because we're spoiled. That's because they've won 11. They promote it themselves. They put a World Series trophy out in Ballpark Village. The Cardinals make no secret of the fact that they want to win a World Series. I look back to this time last year. I think that people were excited about the team, rightfully so. There were some questions about the depth of the rotation. And unfortunately for the Cardinals, that all came true. The rotation did have to deal with depth issues, and it just unraveled from there. A very forgettable year for the Cardinals.
Yeah, something none of us were expecting, because even looking at the potential issues with the team this past season, the thought was that they were still good enough to win the division. The conversation before the season wasn't if they were going to win the division. It was by how many games they were going to win the division. So then for them to lose as many games as they did, first time since 1990 they've been at that number. For them to be a last place team in a division that bluntly wasn't that good, it was startling. And now the job of the organization is to make sure that that is not something that happens again.
I think that's absolutely true. So how do you do that? I mean, let's analyze this rotation right now. Give me your thoughts on what they have with Sonny Gray, Miles Michaelis, Kyle Gibson, Lance Lynn, Steven Matz. That's my first guess as to how it will go 1 through 5 if they don't make another deal between now and March 28th.
Yeah, they've got guys who can cover innings. That seems to be the most important part of what they were trying to do. I think there's a belief that because really, honestly, last year, the bullpen was as much of an issue as starting pitching was. If you get rid of half of the blown saves, say at the trade deadline, this is a team that is still very much in contention, and maybe they're buying at the deadline, and maybe it looks different. So the starting pitching is going to impact relief pitching as well. The bullpen was just overused last year as a result of not getting innings from starting pitching. So the guys that they have brought in with Lynn and Gibson and obviously Sonny Gray, they're guys that are going to take the ball every fifth day. They're guys that too can potentially pitch deep into games. Gray is the elite guy of that. Obviously, he came in second place in the American League Cy Young Award voting last year. It still feels like maybe they're a half step behind the top of the National League when you're looking at the Dodgers and the Braves and teams like that. But it feels like just with that starting pitching, they're back in position to at least contend in the NL Central.
Yeah, I mean, they did what they had to do. I mean, they filled the glass of water back up. The problem is they don't have much other than that glass of water. I mean, they need a little, little ice in there, maybe a little something fun for the fans to sip on. I mean, they did what they were supposed to do. They filled innings, but people feeling a little unfulfilled at the moment after that. I do see. I still believe, and I said it at the beginning of the show, that the Cardinals are willing to spend on a reliever. That's my belief. I think they're still hunting for that bullpen. How do you stack up that bullpen as you see it right now with Romero and Helsley looking like on the back end, lefty righty?
Yeah, unfortunately, right now, I think it's a lot of question marks because I'm a big track record guy. And Jojo Romero did it for 2 months down the stretch of the season. Now, if you get that Jojo Romero, that's fantastic, but that's a big if. Ryan Helsley, when he's on, and I thought he may have had his best run once he came off the injured list last year because not only was he incredibly effective, he was pitching in back-to-back days. That isn't something that we've seen a lot from him in his career, but injuries and not being available are something that have bothered him. So I think there's a lot more question marks than there are maybe exclamation points there. If you squint and if everything is as good as it possibly can be, if you get the best version of those guys, then the bullpen can be very effective. But I think like you, I would love to see them go get somebody who's got a track record, who maybe has a little bit of closing experience, just somebody that when you're in that plan B bullpen day, when Helsley isn't available, when some other guys aren't available, a guy who can go cover the ninth and you feel pretty comfortable with.
I think it's a big deal that they missed Helsley for half the year, basically. 70 games is what he missed. That's a huge loss. That taxed the bullpen for sure. I'd love to see what a healthy Helsley, and that's the thing. Everything when it comes to baseball is health. And, I look at the lineup as well, and I see players, I'm going to knock on wood, that there is some health going on there with Goldschmidt and Arenado, who have a great skill of staying on the field. Donovan, I hope, is going to be okay. John Mozeliak told us a couple weeks ago that things were trending in the right direction for him, but Gorman can absolutely handle second base. When it's short, an outfield of Nootbaar, Edman, and Walker with a fourth outfielder at the moment looks like Dylan Carlson. Contreras behind the plate with Herrera backing him up. I mean, is that enough in your mind offensively and defensively for this club?
Yeah, I absolutely think it is. Now, again, you mentioned health, and that's the big part of this. That group needs to be healthy. I thought it was really interesting. I can't tell you how many times at the winter meetings between John Mozeliak and Oliver Marmol, we kept hearing the talk about them wanting consistency in the field. And really, the way baseball has gone in recent years, we haven't heard that as much. It's something the positionless baseball has kind of become a thing. And, guys like Brendan Donovan and Tommy Edman are really good to have because they can play so many positions. But to me, it feels like the Cardinals want to be able to focus on having basically the same group of guys out in the field on an every night basis, or at least the same type of right lineup and lefty lineup on an every night basis. And that was part of the decision to trade Tyler O'Neill. There's a lot that went into that decision, but by moving Tyler O'Neill, it allows them to kind of stick with the three outfielders you mentioned more often than not.
Yeah, the Cardinals will have the DH that they can rotate a number of people through, no doubt. So there are some options offensively. And maybe if the starters can just go deeper into games, that'll help the offense too and the defense. Everybody will be a little more focused and not press to try to come back in games. You want to try to at least have your pitcher give you a chance and then close it out. And the offense perhaps can relax and do its thing. Matt Pauley is with us about 5 minutes to go, let's say, in this little conversation. So let's do some quick hitters on the other sports. I know the Cardinals are our big broadcast partner. The other one is St. Louis City SC, and then the other one is St. Louis University. Let's talk about City first. I mean, you think about the good things that happen in St. Louis sports in 2023. City has to top the list, doesn't it?
Yeah, and for so many reasons. First off, they were incredible on the field. They won the Western Conference as an expansion team. That's unheard of. The winning streak that they were on at the beginning of the season, the historic winning streak for an expansion team. But the thing that most strikes me about the first season for City was how they did everything to get a city in a metro area to fall in love with them. The way the stadium was built, just everything inside, even the food options is part of it, with it all being local. And I had the opportunity to do those city caravans during Sports Open Line. So I got some pretty good one-on-one time with a few players. And I don't just say this, I really mean this. These guys were genuine, really good guys who are so thankful and grateful for the City fan base. And I just think all of that coming together, it was such a perfect thing. I'm not a huge soccer guy, and I loved watching what was going on. My wife has never watched a soccer match in her life, and there we are. It's at the playoffs, and they're matched up against Kansas City, and she and I are sitting on the couch watching those games together. It was incredible watching that team and that organization and kind of the love affair that they had with the metro area.
Very well said. I think that they embraced the underdog role and they played it perfectly. They had a chip on their shoulder and they went and won the Western Conference in the regular season. Then they get bounced in the first round. So it's a little dose of reality that when you're number one, it's a little different than when you're number whatever it was, 30, and nobody picks you to do anything and you're ticked off about it. So somehow they're going to have to regain that edge. I think in terms of roster construction, Matt, they're going to do exactly what they did and what they said they were going to do is grow this foundation and grow it with not only St. Louis local players, but a lot of young players. They'll add some veteran experience here and there, and we'll see and have some fun with it. The St. Louis Blues, I'm curious sort of what you think about where they are. To me, they're in a transition, and they have to figure out who they are. What is the identity of the St. Louis Blues? What they used to be was a bruising defensive team that could score some opportunistic goals, Matt, with a goaltender who got hot. Right now, they're just trying to figure it all out, and the change in leadership was reflective of that.
Yeah, and I think when you look at 2023 as a whole for the Blues, it really goes back to them making the decision to sell off last year. Now that sell off is already paying dividends, as we saw 7 players participate in the World Juniors. The Blues were tied for first in the NHL, and a lot of those guys were the 18-year-olds, so really young players. So clearly there's a bright future for this organization, and they've done a good job, but they're still years away from that. They had a slow start. They make the coaching change. You never really know what's going to happen with a coaching change. We have seen in St. Louis, coaching changes really, really work in the middle of the season. But honestly, what happens more often than not is you make a coaching change. There's a temporary bump, and then things kind of go back to where they were, or maybe sometimes things go to a place where it was worse than they were before. So if Drew Bannister can get this team to the playoffs, he probably gets the full-time job, and he's coaching the team without the interim title on his nameplate come next year. But there are nothing but question marks right now about this team.
I don't think there's any doubt. As for college sports, we'll talk to Travis Ford about the Billikens here in a little bit. His team is sputtering right now, a lot of it due to injuries. They've got to figure out how to get that back together. Good program, but basically where the A-10 is now, they've got to win the conference tournament to get into the NCAA tournament. Unfortunately, that's where the league has fallen. You know that league as well. And you also know that the University of Missouri was in the NCAA tournament last year, not to mention Illinois, which is dealing with its own issues with Terrence Shannon Jr. They are a power right now in the Big Ten. The Big Ten and the SEC has it pretty easy compared to what St. Louis University is going to have to try to accomplish.
Yeah, absolutely. Just in terms of the opportunity to get there. You look at SLU and being in the A-10, as you allude to, there's going to be years where the A-10 has an up year and maybe they get a couple teams into the tournament. But as it is right now, it doesn't feel like that's going to happen. It still feels like to me that SLU is kind of on the wrong side of that line of really having this thing moving. And they've got the facilities. They're in a metro area. They've got everything going for them to be an incredibly successful program. And I'm not quite sure what it's going to take for them to kind of cross over that line. And we'll see what they can do. I think they're going to be competitive in the A-10, but being competitive and winning the A-10 are two different things. It's really fun watching what's going on with Missouri and Coach Dennis Gates. And even if they're not a tournament team this year, we saw what they could do last year, and the recruiting class that's been put together has been absolutely fantastic. So there's no reason to not believe that Missouri basketball is going to be really moving along. And you mentioned Illinois. This is a tough time to be talking about them because all season long they have looked nothing short of incredible. There are a couple losses that they have been against really, really good teams, but they've had a guy that's been a candidate for maybe the player of the year this year in college basketball. And in all likelihood, he's not going to play again. Even if he is innocent of everything that has been charged against him, that legal process is going to take some time to play out. So it feels like this is a program that's going to have to move forward without their best player, and Terrence Shannon Jr. And you just don't know how that's going to affect them when they're playing those big games and trying to make a tournament run.
And I'll close with this, Matt. What a great sports town we have. I mean, NASCAR sells out back-to-back races, and they'll go for a third this coming year. IndyCar comes to the track as well. Worldwide Technology Raceway is thriving right now. Nick Ragone's got that Ascension Charity Classic rolling right now, and it's fun to see PGA Tour champions in town, and soon the PGA Tour will be back in 2026. Great sports town. Battlehawks having a blast down at the Dome. What a party that is, and that's always a lot of fun. But I am very pleased to see the University of Missouri showing great interest in St. Louis as a college football town. They have moved a game here. There's more to come. And they have taken St. Louis kids to the top with Brady Cook, Luther Burden, and Cody Schrader, not to mention a few others who were key in that win over Ohio State. What a great finish to the year for Mizzou.
It was incredible. And they just kept kind of leaning on Ohio State. And then finally in that fourth quarter, the offense was able to get going enough for them to score a couple touchdowns. A year where you thought maybe the ceiling was 6 or 7 wins for them. They end up getting 11. They finish off the season with a Cotton Bowl victory against a top 10 team in Ohio State. You mentioned the focus on St. Louis, and that is a very important focus for them. And that's great to see. In my lifetime, whether it's Missouri football or Missouri basketball, it feels like there's always been the relationship between different teams in Columbia and St. Louis. It kind of wanes back and forth, but you're right. St. Louis is such a big part of what Mizzou athletics is doing right now, and it's great to see.
It really is. We have a lot of fun around here in women's sports with SLU women's soccer, SLU women's basketball, having very, very good seasons. We'll talk to the men's coach, Travis Ford, coming up in just a few minutes. For now, we say thank you and Happy New Year to Matt Pauley. Appreciate you joining us on KMOX.
You bet. Happy New Year.
Sports on a Sunday morning, sponsored by Gray Bar. Travis Ford is next.
KMOX Weekend at your service, sponsored by Air Comfort Service, Heating, Cooling, and Installation.
My best friend Jenny came over for coffee, said it's cold enough in here to play hockey when my furnace broke and it's already late. Call Jerry Kelly because they're open till 8, JerryKelly.com. They'll be here quick and have you feeling good, JerryKelly.com. Cause your furnace will be running like it should. They're certified technicians, I've been told, will help you when it's hot and help you when it's cold. JerryKelly.com. They're fast and they're good and they got it going on. JerryKelly.com. KMOX.com.
Did you know that St. Louis Composting has an array of STA-certified compost, soil, and mulch products that are available by the bag or by the truckload? It's the healthy, all-natural, cold-weather guide for your garden and lawn. For more information, visit stlcompost.com.
Royal Banks of Missouri is your community bank with locations throughout St. Louis, St. Charles, Northeast Missouri, Granite City, and Jerseyville, Illinois. A bank branch is not far away. Royal Banks brings in experienced staff and products and services designed to meet your professional and personal financial needs. Investing in our communities, one client at a time. Call 314-212-1500 today. Royal Banks of Missouri, member FDIC, and equal opportunity lender. Looking for a new home or to refinance your current mortgage? Royal Banks of Missouri wants to be your home buying partner. With a local staff that will guide you through the process, Royal Banks is an experienced mortgage lender that you can trust. There's still time to lock in on a low rate. Call 314-212-1500 today. Royal Banks of Missouri, where better service means better banking. Member FDIC and equal opportunity lender.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
Our Billiken Report with Coach Travis Ford is sponsored by Royal Banks of Missouri, and we welcome in the coach. Great to talk to you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Tom. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you having me on.
It's good to have you on, and I know that you want 2024 to get off with a bang. 2023 left in the rearview mirror after what has been an assortment of injuries and struggles. Some bright spots, without a doubt, but man, I've never seen it like this, and I know you haven't.
Yeah, it's been crazy. You talk about a lot of injuries. You know, you start out season 4-0. And thought we were playing pretty good basketball, but could even playing a lot better. But sitting there 4-0, and then you get your leading scorer goes down with the injury, and obviously Sincere Parker's not back yet, and then you got another whole list of injuries, and then it's part of the game, it's part of it, but it took its toll on us a little bit because we had to change style of play and. Just had to adjust so much, but, we survived it, got out of there 7-6, with a lot of areas to get better at, and we better get better very, very, very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, you played at times really well with a lot of spirit against North Carolina State, I thought. I mean, the Wolfpack in Raleigh, but they're a good program for a reason, and they played a full 40, and your team was not able to match that. I'm sure that was a big talking point. Not only after the game, but here moving forward.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And it's been a little bit of a problem of ours the second half, and we're trying to pinpoint it and what we can do as a coaching staff and what I can do and what do our players need to do, so forth. But, we're up at halftime at NC State, and they're like 50-1 over the last 51 game, whatever their number is, non-conference. Really good at home, and thought really we're playing well, and thought we'd done all the things on our checklist, the boxes we needed to check in order to win the game, and everything was going well. But what has happened to us a lot in the second half, teams have really started making threes on us. You look at all of our second half that have hurt us, it's usually from the three-point line, whether it be NC State, whether it be Drake, whether it be Southern Illinois, whoever it may be. In some of our losses, it's the three-point line that's really hurting us. And a lot of those threes are coming off turnovers. Points off turnovers and threes are a major number we've got to get better at here very, very soon. And like you said, we got to understand it's not a 20-minute game. It's a 40-minute game that we've got to sustain our competitiveness through the whole game.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I may gripe quietly about the three-point line. Sometimes I think kids rely too much on shooting the three, but they can be a real backbreaker, can't they? I mean, when those things go in, it's like, oh, goodness.
Well, it can be, obviously, especially when you get hot from three. And that's what teams have done on us in the second half. And a lot of times it's, it's obviously the great equalizer. If you're down in a game or whatever it may be, it's, and then we help the calls by turning it over leading to threes or give up second shots leading to threes. Those are backbreakers, especially when you're on the road trying to win an ACC game against a team that's really, really good, very, very talented. Just way too many mistakes. I wouldn't say unforced errors because their pressure was relentless. NC State pressed us for 40 minutes, and they were relentless. But a lot of them, we just didn't execute and kind of gave it to them. So we got to look at ourselves and figure out where we can get better.
I was watching yesterday Indiana State and Michigan State. It reminded me of your team going into NC State and trying to battle a really good team, and Michigan State just kind of pulled away from them. Nothing wrong necessarily with Indiana State. It's just, it's tough sledding sometimes in these road games, non-conference. And meanwhile, Florida Atlantic loses to Florida Gulf Coast yesterday, a 7th ranked team in the country. I mean, anything can happen in this game of college basketball. What do you tell your players going into the A10, which I still think is very much an unknown, and if you're healthy, a very gettable conference, I think. I mean, very competitive conference, kind of anybody's league.
Yeah, I think we've had a pretty good non-conference for the most part as a league. We didn't help causes a lot, but you look at Dayton, I think they're far and above probably the best team that's coming out of non-conference. You look at their numbers. St. Joe's has had a really good year. They've got a Player of the Year candidate on their team. And then after that, and I don't know, a whole lot, but, because teams change so much. But after that, you've had some teams that have played well, but I don't know who has actually, stuck out. I think Davidson has probably surprised a lot of people, and they've played really, really well lately. We knew Duquesne was going to be good. You knew St. Bonaventure was going to be good. Because anytime you have your whole team returning, especially in the A10, you're gonna be good. In which those two teams have every single player returning. So they've played well, but I think it's like you said, there's so much unknown in the A10 because rosters change so much. It's going to be interesting to go forward, but I think Dayton definitely has stood out the most non-conference.
Big home game for Travis Ford's team on Wednesday. You come out of the gate, long layoff here, and you take on Loyola on Wednesday night at Chaffetz at 6:00. I'm not sure what to make of Loyola. I'd be curious what you've seen of them so far. They have a couple of losses this month against Tulsa and South Florida, but they beat a good Harvard team, beat them good by 22. They also beat BC earlier in the season. What is your take on Loyola?
Yeah, really good wins, as you mentioned. Loyola is obviously they're led by one of the best players in the league, a 4-man, Alston, who is a 6'7", 230, all muscle, big physical player. I think he was preseason first team or second team. Really, really good players, averaging about almost 16 points a game for him. Can score in every way. He's just a matchup problem because he's so big and physical. They post him a lot. He goes off the dribble a lot, and now he's shooting threes and making threes, which makes him even a tougher threat. And then they went in the portal and got a lot of really good players out of the transfer portal to build their team around, as well as some returning players. But played a good schedule, and a team that. Is an older team. They've got their point guard's been there and played in a Sweet 16, has been a starter there for, going on 4 years right now. So, they've got some veteran players, but they're led by this 4-man Alston, who is one of the best players in our league.
Travis Ford is with us, and I mentioned, final thing for you here is, your last game was December 20th. I alluded to that long layoff. That is long. I mean, probably the longest you've ever had. How have you handled that as you get into this January 3rd matchup through the holidays? How have you been able to navigate it?
Yeah, it's the longest I've ever had in 27 years as a college head coach. It's by far the longest period of time between games, and probably gave my team off the longest that I've ever given a team off. We played on the 20th at NC State. And then everyone went home the next day, and we reconvened the night of the 26th and been practicing every day since. Obviously for us, it was a big debate. Do we put a game in between after Christmas between this game on the Wednesday? We debated it back and forth. And, we're sitting right here. I think I'm probably a little bit glad that we didn't play just because we're still fighting the injury bug and still trying to get everybody healthy. But you're also nervous that you haven't played a game in so long. So you can sit and debate that all day long, what it's going to look like. But bottom line is we throw it up Wednesday against a very good Loyola team and conference opener. And we better play better than we've played and play for 40 minutes. And, and hopefully we've been able to get better defensively, over the last week. We've tried to really focus on that because our defensive numbers have just not been good at all. Just really, really disappointed in our defense numbers. We've got to get better. So we've tried to concentrate on that, but still trying to get healthy and trying to get everybody going.
Big game coming up on Wednesday. We appreciate the time very much. Happy New Year to you and your family. It's always great to talk to you. And while we're wrapping up this year, thank you for doing this, not only this season, but last season.
Yeah, thank you so much for all you do and everything you guys do for Billiken Athletics there and our program. And Happy New Year to you, Tom. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Coach. There's nothing better than having college basketball right in the middle of the city. I mean, just minutes from your doorstep. It is great stuff. Travis Ford, head coach of the St. Louis University Billikens, here on KMOX. When we take a break, we will return with the Blues. They also play here in the city at Enterprise Center. They had back-to-back games and lost them both to the Avalanche and the Penguins. We'll review that with the players and the coach, Drew Bannister, next. Sports on a Sunday morning on KMOX. The Billiken Report was sponsored by Royal Banks of Missouri.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
STL Today, the vote is in, and there's no need for a recount. I'm Jim Onder, and I want to thank you, the people of St. Louis, for acknowledging my team at Onder Law as STL Today's 2023's best law firm in St. Louis. As always, we will continue our mission to hold companies accountable, change the way they do business, and make St. Louis a safer place.
When you're injured, you need the best. Call Onder Law at 314 or 618-9000000.
Your garage door is the largest piece of moving equipment in your home. When it needs help, call the experts at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Their certified technicians repair all brands of doors and openers, and you can even schedule evening and weekend service. Just call 314-781-5200 and always look for the red ribbon. It's your assurance you've got the genuine, the original Overhead Door, the most trusted garage door company in St. Louis since 1926. For same-day service, schedule online at overheaddoorstlouis.com. 314-781-5200.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
Broadcasting from the Onder Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
Welcome back to the show. It is great to be with you as always. Tom Ackerman with you. Sports on a Sunday morning on KMOX. Coming up next hour before we get to the Blues here. Just wanted to let you know what we have coming. We'll talk some college football after we do our NFL picks. We will pick against the spread. Haven't had a chance to do that in a little while, Drew, so we'll see what's out there. It'll be our picks at 11:06. We should call it that. I just thought of that. Picks at 11:06.
Solid.
What do you think?
I like it.
And do it like all year. We'll picks at 06.
Picks at 06.
Picks at 11:06. What do you think? What sounds better? And then, we'll do it during baseball season. We'll do it for other sports, but football is the easiest to pick.
Right.
It's the most popular gambling sport, etc. Anyway, we'll do that. Thank you for the support on that. What about the NFL, though. We'll get into that, and then I think I will circle back to the controversy from last night, the Lions-Cowboys game. We talked about it in the first segment of the show. At 11:15, though, we'll get into college football and sort out this college football playoff. But also, I think it's important to highlight the University of Missouri and what they were able to do this year. What a season. I mean, going into the Cotton Bowl and beating Ohio State, I don't care what kind of Ohio State team that is. That might have been a team that was a little bit short. That, to me, is not about Ohio State. I know it's great to beat Ohio State and beat the brand, but that, to me, was about Missouri's brand. That Missouri needed to establish its brand and to be able to show people what they are all about. Missouri, by the way, for those of you who are too young to remember, had a great football brand for a long time. I'm talking like 60s and 70s. It was a good football team. Dan Devine and Al Onofrio and Warren Powers, and then Powers ends up getting fired, and then the team just tanks in the 80s. It was just bad. Woody Widenhofer, Bob Stull, Larry Smith brought it back to a respectable level, and then Gary Pinkel took over and elevated them to Big 12 North champions, to an SEC East champion, and they ended up playing for some pretty big stuff. I mean, they were the number one team in the nation for a time in 2007. Great year in 13, going to the Cotton Bowl, and then here they are going to the Cotton Bowl again and winning it against Ohio State. The Missouri brand, they should make no mistake about it, is a team game. And if you want to play for a team that's a lot of fun, a team that's going to be there for each other, a brotherhood, that is the University of Missouri football team. That was a great performance in a game that was unwatchable for 3 quarters, but they stuck in there and they played a good, solid fourth quarter, and Ohio State didn't, and that's the difference in the ball game. They beat Ohio State fair and square, 14-3. That is a very good job by Eli Drinkwitz. All year long, they stayed consistent, and they found a way to win. They lost 2 games to some really good teams, Georgia and LSU. There's no shame in that. Great year for the University of Missouri, one of the best years they've had. And I think just the beginning, I think they now have the building blocks in place to recruit and get those players that they need to take them to be a consistent 9-10 win team. And in this case, 11 wins. That was just an excellent, excellent year for the University of Missouri. We'll talk about it a little bit more at 11:15. Right now, let's turn our attention to the Blues. Here is Drew Bannister after a 4-2 loss to the Pittsburgh Penguins.
I don't know. I mean, the first goal, we make a mistake in the neutral zone. Our D pinches when he shouldn't, ends up in the back of our net, and then we take an undisciplined penalty in the second. They make us pay. Up to then we played a pretty good road game, but then we're chasing the game. They're able to score to separate. We get ourselves close. Our power play scores again, and we had some opportunities. We hit a few crossbars, a few posts, but again, like we can't make those mistakes in the neutral zone. We can't take those penalties. It's just the margin of errors is it's too small, and we got to be better in those areas.
Obviously, Sammy's penalty cost you, but did the other two kind of not allow you to get back into the flow of the game in the second period there?
Sorry, the second period, we didn't get much flow going. We didn't shoot many pucks. I thought in the first, we had the puck. We could have shot more. I thought in third we started to shoot more pucks, missing by a couple inches. I don't know how many crossbars or posts we hit in the third. There was a few, but the second after we took that penalty and they scored, we weren't able to generate anything. I thought, again, we were passing up opportunities to shoot. We weren't getting to the net, and we didn't get much going in the second.
For Kapanen, and we spoke about him before the game. Good to see him trying to get back on the play.
Yeah, nice to see him score there, and Scotty made a good play getting through the puck to the net. And, he was able to get a stick on it, get rewarded. So it's nice to see him kind of break out here today.
As far as the power play goes, I mean, are you seeing? We saw the goal tonight. Are you seeing more signs of progress?
Yeah, I mean, we went 2 for 3 tonight. I know, yesterday we weren't able to score, and at the times we need to score in that game, but we saw some positive signs. We created a lot of opportunities. Today we were able to finish on some of them.
You talk about wanting to shoot the puck more. How do you kind of relay that message to your group? Is it just?
I think that's the exact, that's what we relayed after the second period, and we started to shoot more. We had good opportunities. We had some good looks. We created some chaos around the net. I thought in the second, we were, instead of looking to shoot, we were looking to pass. The lanes closed off on us, and, we weren't able to get anything to the net.
What did you see from Joel tonight, particularly on some of the breakaways that they had there?
I thought Joel was really good. I mean, in the second there, a couple of bounces, they were able to spring loose, and he made some real good saves for us to keep us in the game when it was 2-1. So he gave us an opportunity to win here tonight.
That is Drew Bannister after a loss to the Penguins 4-2. Blues missed a few opportunities to be great yesterday. There is no shame necessarily in how they played overall, but the result isn't what they want. Be better in front of the net. Drew Bannister said it right there. They did show some signs of that and have really during the 8 games that he's been the interim coach. They are now 5-3. Here's Robert Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, we were right in it to the end. They scored in a couple plays and we hit the post. He made some good saves. So, yeah, I mean, we were right in it. It was a tough back-to-back, and I thought we did a good job of keeping ourselves in the game and giving us a good chance to win.
The second period, was it just penalties that kind of derailed you guys?
Yeah, you lose the flow a little bit. We can't be taking that many penalties. Obviously, they got a ton of great players and really good power play, and they scored one on us. So, yeah, it's tough, especially on a back-to-back. A couple penalties in a row, it loses the flow. But I thought we did a good job in the third, bouncing back and fighting back. And I think we had a ton of great chances to score and tie the game up.
14 of the Blues' shot attempts were blocked by the Penguins. 14 of them. And they lost the game by a final of 4-2 to wrap up December. Next game isn't until Thursday, January 4th. They'll host the Vancouver Canucks at Enterprise Center. We're just getting going here halfway through Sports on a Sunday morning on KMOX. I'm Tom Ackerman. We're sponsored by Gray Bar. We're back. Dan Deerdorf is just about 45 minutes away.
Hi, this is Amanda Murphy with Goldblatt Singer Attorneys at Law. On behalf of everyone at Goldblatt Singer, happy holidays. Take care out there. And remember, if you need help, Goldblatt Singer is just a phone call away.
I'm William Shatner. I've been around a long time, but I'm truly humbled when I see the real battles our brave, paralyzed veterans have faced defending our freedom. And when they come home,
I had just come home from serving over in Germany. Next thing I know, it was 3 weeks later. I was paralyzed.
While parachuting with my platoon, my parachute didn't open. I broke my neck. It left me paralyzed for the rest of my life.
I was on a routine patrol, and we were in the desert of Kuwait, and the vehicle flipped and landed on top of me, which left me paralyzed from the waist down.
okay, folks, this is heroism. That's why I'm proud to support Paralyzed Veterans of America, because they've kept their promise to never leave a fallen soldier behind. A roof over their heads, accessible homes and cars, jobs, benefits.
PVA has brought me back to life.
Show them their sacrifice hasn't been in vain. Go to PVA.org to learn how you can make a difference.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan. In celebration of McKelvey Homes' 125th anniversary, we're having our biggest sale of the year. Save up to $89,000, get special financing in the fives, and free closing costs on all move-in ready homes. Visit the Preserve on Mackenzie Road near Watson for a variety of homes from the 400s, or Inverness in St. Charles at Bryan and Feisey Road. Don't miss this opportunity to save big and get in before the holidays. Visit McKelveyHomes.com.
Every 36 seconds, a vehicle is stolen in the United States. Cars are an important investment, and you have the power to protect it. Remove valuables from your car or place out of view. Roll up your windows completely. Don't leave your car running while unattended, especially during the winter. And always lock your doors and take your keys or fob with you. If you know something about a vehicle theft, call us at 1-800-TEL-NICB.
This is a public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
More than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio for their news, weather, sports, and a community connection. It's the backbone of the emergency alert system. It's critical that we keep AM radio in cars because when cell and internet services are down, this free emergency service could be your only lifeline. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Hi, this is Tony DePong from Reinhold Electric. On behalf of the entire Reinhold Electric team, happy holidays. Remember Reinhold Electric for all your electrical needs in 2024. God bless and Happy New Year.
KMOX KECK HD2 St. Louis.
The legendary voice of St. Louis. This is KMOX, always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Vicki Barker. It's already 2024 in Sydney, Australia.
Happy New Year!
16 time zones away, CBS's Bradley Blackburn reports New York authorities are doing this.
For New Year's Eve, they are expanding the security perimeter around Times Square.
There will be a large contingency of officers you won't see as well. Many in plain clothes ensuring the safety of our city. And watching overhead will be our aviation unit.
Security is tight in other major cities, too. In Paris, 6,000 officers will be deployed along the Champs-Élysées, with officials concerned about the threat of terrorism. But revelers everywhere are focused on the fun and the future.
It's going to be a great year for all of us.
Well, a new year means new laws.
More than 20 states will raise minimum wages for workers. Several states have new gun laws. New bans on access for minors to puberty blockers, hormone therapy, and surgery are also scheduled to take effect in Idaho, Louisiana, and West Virginia. If you want to hang an air freshener or even fuzzy dice from your rearview mirror in Illinois, have at it now. Police will no longer be able to pull you over and fine you for it. But don't even think of zooming or scrolling through TikTok while driving there. They'll now nab you for that. Stacey Lynn, CBS News.
Rain and dangerously high surf continue to pound parts of the California coast. CBS's Lauren Posen is in Manhattan Beach.
Since Friday, officials have been warning people to stay out of the water, off the beach, and jetties too. Warnings even a seasoned surfer urge people to listen to.
If you don't know what you're doing, don't go out in the water.
U.S. naval forces in the Red Sea have sunk 3 boats piloted by Yemen's Houthi rebels that were trying to board a cargo vessel. The BBC's Shema Khalil has more.
The Red Sea is one of the world's most important shipping routes for oil and liquefied natural gas, and analysts have warned the attacks could cause prices to rise. The Iranian-backed Yemeni rebel group have claimed its attacks on the vital shipping lane are directed at vessels linked to Israel in response to the war in Gaza.
Will your 2024 start with an $800 million win? Powerball tickets are going fast, with the jackpot reaching $810 million after no big winner was found in Saturday's draw. But if anyone who chooses to take it in a single amount will pocket a little over $400 million. And we have this news just in. The FDA says Mead Johnson Nutrition is voluntarily recalling certain batches of Nutramigen hypoallergenic infant formula powder after some containers sold outside the U.S. tested positive for harmful bacteria. This is CBS News.
Make the hiring process work for you. With Indeed's end-to-end hiring solution, you can attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. Start at Indeed.com/credits.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news. KMOX.
At 11:03, we have cloudy skies and 36 degrees downtown at the Arch. Good morning. I'm Scott Jagow. Our top story this hour, a candlelight vigil is planned to remember people who were murdered in 2023. Mothers Advocating Safe Streets is trying to raise awareness about violent crime. The event takes place from 4 to 6 this evening at Williams Temple Church of God in Christ. The mayor is planning to attend. As of Friday, the number of homicides in St. Louis City stood at 157. That's down from more than 200 the past 2 years, each of the past 2 years. But we've had several in the past few days, including one Friday in North St. Louis. A woman was found dead with a gunshot wound near Dr. Martin Luther King Drive and Kings Highway. A baby born with a gunshot wound in May who later died following a quadruple shooting. Friday, the St. Louis Police Department deemed it a homicide. Dontrez Green was born May 7th with that gunshot wound. His birth came shortly after a shooting that killed 2 teenage girls and left 2 others wounded. The shooting happened in the Hyde Park neighborhood. Eddie Love is facing federal felony charges in connection with that investigation. Meanwhile, the vice president of a nonprofit that raises money to give service dogs to military veterans is charged with stealing tens of thousands of dollars.
According to our news partners at Fox 2, Brett Leary was the vice president of the De Pere-based Gateway Warrior Foundation. He was charged on December 21st in St. Louis County Circuit Court with a felony count of stealing. The 42-year-old admitted to taking money from the nonprofit between March and October. He reportedly tried to repay the organization, but his $36,000 check bounced. Leary's father, Denny Leary, founded the nonprofit and was its longtime president, but he resigned after his son was charged with stealing. Melanie Steen, KMOX News.
Your New Year's Eve forecast, high of 38 this afternoon, maybe a few flurries. Overnight, as we get to midnight, 30 degrees or so. Tomorrow, 41 for a high. Warming up a bit more on Tuesday, partly sunny with a high of 49. Right now, it is 35 in St. Peter's, 35 in Florissant. We have 36 cloudy skies downtown at the Arch. I'm Scott Jagow, KMOX News.
This is the Graybar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Graybar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. Now, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
Good to be back with you. NFL picks upcoming, as well as a look at college football, baseball, and Dan Deerdorf is going to join us at the end of the show at 11:45. News coming across, though, within the last half hour is that NASCAR legend Cale Yarborough has died at the age of 84. One of the best NASCAR drivers in history, 83 Cup Series wins, 3 Cup championships. He won the Daytona 500 4 times. He was the first NASCAR driver to win 3 straight titles. He was terrific. When I was a kid, I had the little Hardee's Cale Yarborough car, little Matchbox car, you know what I mean? I had a great time with, as a kid, watching NASCAR, and he was tremendous. He had a tussle, a famous one, after he won his 3rd and final championship. He was racing for the lead with Donnie Allison in the 1979 Daytona 500. The 2 drivers collided on the backstretch. Their cars went sliding through the infield. After climbing from their cars, Richard Petty ended up winning the race. The 2 started to fight. Allison's brother Bobby arrived on the scene. There are photos of it. There are videos of it. That's one of the things he's famous for. The other was being one tough driver. He was from South Carolina. He loved racing as a kid. He was an absolute legend. He had a personality that was not reckless, but, like a daredevil type driver. People just loved Cale Yarborough. I know our buddy Kenny Wallace did, without a doubt. And a lot of love for the NASCAR Hall of Famer, Cale Yarborough, who has passed away at the age of 84. We have a lot to do this hour of Sports on a Sunday morning on KMOX. Last hour, a lot of fun to catch up with Travis Ford with Matt Pauley, talking about looking back in 2023. We did all of that, and we also looked at the St. Louis Blues and what they did last night, losing by a final of 4-2 in Pittsburgh. We heard from Drew Bannister and Robert Thomas, and if you want to hear it all, you can just go back on our Odyssey app right now and start things off an hour ago at about 10:06. And we'll take you to Sports on a Sunday Morning's podcast page at KMOX.com after the show. Now to football.
And a key block by the left guard, Tom Ackerman. And right here, let's go downstairs to Bonnie.
Marv, if you remember that big run Robert Holcomb had on the first drive, one of the guys responsible on help busting him loose was Tom Ackerman.
Tom Ackerman up front, and this is a unit that has played very well. A good night for Eddie George. 21 carries, 74 yards. The left guard, Tom Ackerman, with the block that set him free. It's a first down.
Our thanks to offensive lineman Tom Ackerman for being the soundtrack to this segment. I'd love to meet him someday. I want to get him on the show. Maybe we'll do picks against each other. Tom Ackerman against Tom Ackerman, the former Titans offensive lineman, among other teams. Well, we have some games today, don't we? A full slate of football, Week 17 in the NFL. We talked at length about yesterday's game, 20-19, Cowboys over the Lions, an unfortunate incident in which the wrong receiver was announced as eligible
And the pass went to the one who was ineligible, and that was the end of the Detroit Lions, who failed 3 times on a 2-point conversion. After converting that first one, it was brought back. They lost the game 2019 to the Cowboys. It does change things in the NFL playoff picture. For right now, we're looking at a picture that has, in the NFC, a division champion in Detroit, but they are playing for seeding right now, and that loss ties them with the Cowboys. They now each have 11-5 records. It's a tough loss for Detroit. Philadelphia is 11-4. They currently, along with Dallas, are fighting for the NFC East. Tampa Bay leads the South with an 8-7 record. Atlanta and New Orleans are 7-8, so that division is still gettable for somebody. There are 2 games left in the season. And in the West, the 49ers have locked it up. They are 11-4, but the Rams are sitting there at 8-7, and so are the Seattle Seahawks. So the wild card looks like this in the NFC. Dallas currently the leader in the wild card, with the Rams and Seattle owning the second 2 spots. Other teams in there at 7-8 that have a chance: Minnesota, Atlanta, Green Bay, and New Orleans. The Bears are 6-9. Technically, they haven't been eliminated, but they will be. In the AFC, the Cleveland Browns are going back to the playoffs, but they still have an outside shot at the division. Not likely, but outside. They're 11-5. Baltimore's 12-3. They can lock it up. Miami leads the East by 2 games over the Bills. Dolphins are 11-4. The Bills are 9-6. In the South, Jacksonville, Indianapolis, and Houston, all with 8-7 records. And in the West, the Kansas City Chiefs blew a chance to lock it up last week. We'll see what they do this week. They're on KMOX. They take on the Cincinnati Bengals. Chiefs are 9-6. Vegas and Denver sitting way back at 7-8. They're going to get that division, but it doesn't look like they're going to host any playoff games. Could be a little rough there for the Chiefs. They got to get it going here. They need to get back to basics. You know, it's okay to punt and let your defense manage the field. Chiefs defense is pretty good. It's the Chiefs offense that is sputtering here. The wild card teams in the AFC are the Browns, the Bills, and the Colts. But the Colts are 8-7, and so are the Texans, the Steelers, and the Bengals, who play today in Kansas City. We will have the game on KMOX at 3:25. It's a 2:00 pregame, and let's start with that one. The Chiefs are 6.5-point favorites. I love the Chiefs in this one. I would give the Bengals 6.5 all day. I think they win this game by more than a touchdown. I think they're going to be very upset losing last week. They were ticked off, as you well know. Lost to the Raiders 20-14. Raiders didn't have an offensive touchdown the entire game. So I don't know. I see the Chiefs big today. Don't you? I don't. 6.5 seems a little small to me. Whatever. I know the Bengals are playing for something here, but that's just my gut. Here are the noon games today. New England at Buffalo. The Bills are a 14.5-point favorite at home against the Patriots. Bills are playing well right now. They are coming off 3 straight wins, and I like a 4th win. 14.5 is a lot to ask for, though. I think they'll get it. And I would reluctantly give the Patriots 14.5 and take the Bills minus 14.5. That is a big number, though. Atlanta at Chicago. A couple of mediocre to bad teams here. The Bears somehow are 2.5-point favorites at home. I'm going to take the Falcons plus 2.5. They have a lot to play for. Vegas at Indianapolis. That one is on CBS at noon. Colts 3.5-point favorites at home against the Raiders. I like that. Take the Colts at home. Rams at Giants. The Rams are 6.5-point favorites at your New York Football Giants, Drew Young. And I do think that the Rams will cover that. I hate to do anything in their favor. When you pick games, you take emotion out of it. Rams minus 6.5. Arizona at Philadelphia. Oh, I love the Eagles on this one. Minus 12.5. I think they cover that. The Eagles have an axe to grind. They got to get going here too. The Eagles minus 12.5 against the Arizona Cardinals. New Orleans at Tampa Bay, a battle in the NFC South. Bucks are 2.5-point favorites. They've been rolling lately. They have won 4 in a row, and they're going to win 5 in a row, Drew. They're going to cover that. 2.5 points at home against the Saints. Elsewhere, the noon games today, San Francisco at Washington. Big number on the road, 49ers minus 14. Washington's not only bad, but the 49ers are really good. You talk about wrong place, wrong time. They got embarrassed by the Ravens at home last week. That is not going to happen today. They need to make a statement today, the Niners do, and I like them minus 14 at Washington. You don't see spreads this big really in the NFL, but we've gotten a lot more of them lately. There are some bad teams out there. Tennessee at Houston. Houston is minus 5 at home against the Titans. I like that to keep things going for them. Pittsburgh at Seattle. The Seahawks are 4.5-point favorites at home. Steelers are they're fine. I mean, they're just a little wobbly team that hasn't been able to do much. They lost 3 in a row before whooping on the Bengals at home last game. I have them losing at Seattle by more than 4.5. I got Seahawks minus 4.5. I mentioned the 325 games. The other ones are Chargers at Denver. Denver's got a whole mess going on with the Russell Wilson thing and all kinds of controversy stirring, people pointing at Sean Payton. I think they take care of business today against the Chargers. 3.5, though. I don't know that I love them that much, but I'll do it. Denver minus 3.5 at home against the Chargers. That game may get close. Cincinnati at Kansas City, I already gave to you. Packers at Vikings, a pair of 7 and 8 teams in Minnesota. Minnesota minus 1 in this game. This is a toss-up. I'll go with the Vikings at home minus 1. And that's your look at the NFL. When we come back, we'll look at college football. Then we'll parse out some baseball, and then we'll finish with more football. Dan Deerdorf, Sports on a Sunday Morning on KMOX. We are so glad you're with us. Back right after this.
Nobody wants a surprise in their jelly donut. It's toothpaste? That's because the middle is the most important part. At Gray Bar, we're at the middle of electrical and datacom jobs across the country, connecting installers, facility managers, and business owners with smart solutions for their most challenging projects, which means stocking and delivering crucial products on time and on budget with no surprises, thanks to our nationwide logistics network. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Your garage door is always there for you, rain or shine. Are you taking your garage door for granted? Is it screeching and whining for attention? Trust Overhead Door Company of St. Louis to keep your garage door reliable. Maybe the old weather stripping needs replaced to keep out the cold and hot air. Call Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, trusted here since 1926. For same-day service, call 314-781-5200 and schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
You know the Midwest Money slogan, isn't cash in the bank better than scrap in the drawer? This is Johnny Rabbit to tell you that's for sure. That's Midwest Money, the oldest coin shop in St. Louis. Buying, selling, and trading since 1971. Silver and gold, coins, sterling silver, antique firearms, military relics, uniforms, flags, medals, daggers, and more. Not sure what you have? Bring it to Midwest Money at 5900 Hampton in South St. Louis to find out. Plus, Midwest Money is home of the largest model train layout in St. Louis. And the first Sunday of every month, bring your family to see this great model railroad exhibit, and it's free. My advice to you is to bring your collectibles to someone you can trust. Midwest Money at the corner of Hampton and Holly Hills. So come on in. They'd like to meet you at Midwest Money. You'll be happy you did.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan. In celebration of McKelvey Homes' 125th anniversary, we are having our biggest sale of the year. Save up to $89,000. Get special financing in the fives and free closing costs on all move-in ready homes. Visit The Preserve on Mackenzie Road near Watson, a beautiful community with 4 lakes, nature trails, and wooded home sites. We have a variety of homes from the 400s, including our villa and estate homes. Don't miss this opportunity to save big and get in before the holidays. Visit McKelveyHomes.com.
Hi, this is Jeff Singer with Goldblatt Singer, Attorneys at Law. On behalf of everyone at Goldblatt Singer, happy holidays. Take care out there, and remember, if you need help, Goldblatt Singer is just a phone call away.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
Welcome back to the show. Always great to hear from Eli Drinkowitz, the head coach of the Tigers. He got up on stage after the win over Ohio State 14-3 in the Cotton Bowl Classic. Microphone stuck in his face by Tom Luganbill, and Eli Drinkowitz is always ready for a microphone. This is good stuff right here on stage on ESPN.
You were picked to finish sixth in the division. What do you have to say about that?
Just so proud of our team. I think this tonight was a testament to a wilderness brotherhood. A bunch of guys that have fought through adversity their entire lives and career. We're not blue bloods. We're dirty, hard-working brotherhood that loves each other and fight for each other. We scored 14 points in the fourth quarter. We put our fist up. We said we're not giving in. We're faster, stronger, tougher than you in the fourth quarter. And we got an elite edge, and we're not going to be denied. And now we're the Cotton Bowl champs. M-I-Z.
Oh, come on now. That didn't give you chills a little bit. What a great run by Eli Drinkowitz. Do you know how old he is? Do you know he's only 40 years old? He's a young man. He's got a lot of football in front of him. He also has a TV career if he wants it, but I think he's going to be coaching for a long time. Eli Drinkowitz reminds me, I've said this a million times on the show, Drew, he reminds me of a young Steve Spurrier with a little bit of swagger. All he needed was a big win, and he got one right there. Also, Tennessee would qualify as a big win. He's had a couple of K-State qualify as a big win, but he'll get more. And what you need to do is stack signature wins. And I know it's a shell somewhat on offense of what Ohio State has to offer, but on defense, it wasn't. That was a good Ohio State defense that held Missouri quiet until the fourth quarter. They couldn't play a full four for whatever reason. As good as that defense is, they could not sustain it in the fourth quarter, and Missouri did. Missouri wanted the game more, obviously. Ohio State kind of checked out after losing to Michigan, but it's still Ohio State. It's still a lot of NFL talent, and Missouri shouldn't worry about it at all. This is about their program taking care of business. In my mind, and I think in a lot of people's minds, they should have won the game, and they did. They went in there and did it, and that's the aura they need to present. This isn't a small school that just suddenly appeared in the top 25. The University of Missouri's had a proud football program for a long time with major dips, but major highs. And I think that this is one of the moments now that they can get to the point where you are every year a player. Every year you are a contender. They've got to get Missouri football to where Wisconsin got theirs. That every year Wisconsin could be a threat in the Big Ten and could knock you off, especially at home. You're not coming out of there with a win unless you play an outstanding 60 minutes. That's what Missouri's got to get to, and it looks like they are well on their way. That team is going to be good next year. They're getting almost everybody back. They're losing a few people to the NFL and a couple of transfers here and there, but they'll be really good. They're going to have Cook. Schrader's going to move on, but they'll have Burden back. They'll have a lot of receivers back. Offensive line was strong. You know that's going to continue to be a foundation moving forward for Mizzou, and that brings to mind recruiting. Missouri needs to use this immediately for recruiting and show that they don't check out of games. They don't check out of opportunities. They are always going to play together as a brotherhood, as he called it, a wilderness brotherhood, as a wilderness brotherhood, and be that program that you want to play for. That's what he needs to create. I think that's what he has created at Missouri. They have some things to fix, but not a lot. That was a dream season. They should look back with fondness on winning the Cotton Bowl, regardless of who they played. And for that matter, I have to applaud Georgia. I love the way Georgia handled all of this. I went on this show that morning, remember, before the college football playoff was released, and I said, Georgia won't make it. I could dismiss them right away because they lost to Alabama in the SEC championship. They had an opportunity to get to the college football playoff, and they blew it. They probably should have won the game. As good as Alabama is, they were the best team in the country, but they blew it. It's unfortunate that's the way it's structured, but that's the way it is. They blew it, and they didn't complain. Maybe a little bit. You didn't hear much out of Georgia, I didn't think. You heard a lot out of Florida State, including me. And I picked it correctly. I told you who was going to be in the playoff that morning, that it was going to be Michigan, Washington, Texas, and Alabama in that order. but that I had a gripe with Florida State not being in there because Florida State didn't do anything wrong. They ran the table. They did what they were asked. They got a quarterback hurt. It was really unfortunate. My heart breaks for the young man, Jordan Travis, because as he tweeted, it felt like it was partly his fault for getting hurt. I mean, nobody should feel that way. It's not Florida State's fault. It's college football structure. You can't have a Power 5 and have 5 conference champions and only 4 spots for the playoff. It's silly. So now eventually, they go to this 12-team playoff next year. That's how it should be. But Florida State complained, and I think they went way too far. They complained, they cried. They went to the government. I mean, they're trying to, I mean, it's just, okay, we got it. So buck up, go out there 13-0 and show everybody what you got. They didn't do that. A lot of players opted out, got ready for the NFL draft. Some players transferred. I got it. It's a disappointment. What did Georgia do? They just went and dusted off their national championship trophies, polished them a little bit, went out there and, dropped the hammer on second-string Florida State, decimated 24 players gone Florida State. Afterwards, Kirby Smart said that the college football structure needs to be addressed. We shouldn't allow things like this to happen. He showed respect to Florida State, showed some passion for Florida State and what they went through. But they shouldn't apologize for anything. Georgia did what they should have done. They didn't complain. They went out. They made a statement. We're Georgia. Guess what? I'd use that in recruiting too. Oh, you want to know what Georgia's all about? Here's what we're all about. We didn't get invited to the playoff. All we did was go practice, go line up, and we beat the daylights out of Florida State. Good night. And that's how this thing should be remembered for Georgia. Great job by Georgia. I love how they handled it. I really did. The college football playoff, we're going to talk to Dan Deerdorf about it at 11:45. But my picks here, I like Alabama to win this game straight up. They're a 1.5-point underdog last I checked. I think they beat Michigan. I'm going to talk to Dan about it and a little more in depth. The other game I'll touch on, Washington, Texas, an absolute shootout. I think that's also going to be a great game that will also go down to the end. And I think Washington will win. I think that Texas' ability to stop the run is a moot point here because Washington won't run. They can, but they're going to want to fling the ball around here. And that's what Mike Penix does. I followed him at Indiana. He's now at Washington. Caleb DeBoer, his head coach, was the offensive coordinator at Indiana. What Washington will do is what you and I did when we were kids in the backyard. Just go run out there, and I'm going to throw it to you. And that's old school football. Just go get it. And Penix throws the best deep ball in the game, and it's going to be a shootout. And he's done it over and over again in close games. If you look back at Washington's schedule, Texas has had some close games too, but Washington has an unblemished schedule of very close games against good competition, and I think they can win this game against Texas, and I think that they will. So I am taking the two underdogs here, Alabama and Washington, to play for the national championship. We'll see if I'm wrong, but that's how I feel about it. It should be a lot of fun, I think, tomorrow to follow those two games. But there's more tomorrow, and congrats to Ole Miss for winning their game over Penn State. Lane Kiffin, same thing. A lot of pride in Ole Miss. We need to recruit. We need to hang with the big boys in the SEC. We're going to go out there, and we're going to be the brand. And they went out and beat Penn State. Really good win for Lane Kiffin and his program. The games tomorrow, there are 3 others outside of the CFP, Wisconsin and LSU. I love LSU to romp in this one, actually. Jaden Daniels and LSU. So, again, not a bad loss for Missouri and a good win for Florida State early in the year, pounding LSU, who I thought would be in this college football playoff when it was all said and done. That game tomorrow is at 11 o'clock. It's the ReliaQuest Bowl in Tampa. At noon tomorrow, Liberty and Oregon. Oregon is an 18-point favorite in this game against an undefeated Liberty team. At Oregon team's good. They're speed and power, and they have it all. And I think they'll take care of business and probably cover that. Iowa and Tennessee. I'm not so big on Tennessee after what Missouri did to them, but they are still very dangerous. Iowa's just a good, solid team, but can't score. They have a lot of trouble scoring. They're 6-point dogs in the Citrus Bowl in Orlando. And that could bite them. The fact that maybe Tennessee wants to show off a little bit. We'll see what they actually have available. They're 8-4 Vols against the 10-3 Hawkeyes, -6. I'll have Tennessee cover that, but Iowa and Tennessee playing in the Citrus Bowl tomorrow, and that one will also be at noon, and then everybody will get out of the way for the two big games. Alabama, Michigan at 4 in the Rose Bowl, Texas and Washington. Texas now a 4-point favorite in the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, and Michigan is a 2-point favorite against Alabama. Dan Deerdorf, Michigan alum, with us at 11:45. When we come back, let's sort through baseball and see what happened. We'll also tell you about two big events three actually, related to the Cardinals here in the next 3 weeks. Back after this.
The news of 2023.
I remember
March.
Russian fighters collision with a U.S. drone. Donald Trump is the first former president to be indicted.
A New York grand jury has charged Trump.
We know that Trump himself was anticipating these charges. Hush money paid to Stormy Daniels. This may not be the end of legal woes for Donald Trump.
For all the news of 2024, stay with News Radio 1120, KMOX. KMOX Weekend at your service, sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation.
How old are elves? Does Mrs. Claus have a first name? Is the fur attached to the top of Santa's boots or the bottom of Santa's pants? Some holiday mysteries may never be solved, but with holiday scratchers and draw games from the Missouri Lottery, finding the perfect gift doesn't have to be one of them. The spark of possibility that comes with every ticket versus the disappointment of yet another ugly holiday sweater. The better gift is clear. Give holiday scratchers and draw games from the Missouri Lottery. Play responsibly.
I'm Brian Westbrook with Coalition Life. In the Christmas season, we celebrate the miracle of a tiny baby born to a poor teenager who grew to change the world. What better time to reflect on how you are being called to serve young mothers in need and their tiny, precious babies. Over the years, day in and day out, our team at Coalition Life have walked alongside women facing the fear and challenges of an unexpected pregnancy. Through the support of this community, we have given them hope and a path to choose life for the children they carry. Our work continues, and we need your support more than ever in a post-Roe v. Wade world. Visit coalitionlife.com to learn how your gift of any size can bring the joy of Christmas to life while reducing or eliminating your state taxes with Missouri's 70% tax credit. Learn more at coalitionlife.com, coalitionlife.com.
There are thousands of your Illinois and Missouri neighbors struggling this holiday season with high or no utilities.
They are often forced to choose between heating and eating. Some are using unsafe methods of heating. This could end in fatalities.
You can give the gift of warmth by adopting a senior or needy family with a secure donation at heatupstlouis.org.
100% of your donations will keep our needy Missouri and Illinois neighbors safe. Please help heatupstlouis.org.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
11:33 Sports on a Sunday morning on KMOX. Tom Ackerman with you. Normally we spend this time with Cardinals President of Baseball Operations, John Mozeliak. Not available today. It is the holidays, and certainly he was kind enough to join us a couple of weeks ago. We've had some great visits with him. We'll get him back on board. Had a recent chance to visit with the special assistant to the general manager. That would be Matt Slater, who has extensive experience covering Japan and the Far East, certainly that entire area of the Pacific Rim, searching for talent, the Dominican Republic, South America, you name it. Central America, he has bounced around and looked at some of the best players in the world that internationally, but also domestically, he's been looking all over to help this front office identify up-and-coming talent. He is also a talent because Matt Slater is going to be dancing with the St. Louis Stars to benefit Independence Center. We discussed that and more about this Cardinals team.
It's going to be a tremendous event, January 20th at the Ritz-Carlton. It will be in front of about 400 to 500 people. I believe we're almost sold out already. by the way, and it is broadcast online as well. So it's something that I really feel strong about, that it's a great cause and it's a fun event.
And there's another Matt who will be competing as well, Matt Seebeck with St. Louis City SC. So we've got the battling Matts.
Yes, both with professional sports teams here in town. So
that's right. Seebeck with the he's the experiences director. I think he's the I forget what is the official title.
Fan experience vice president.
It's a great title
at St. Louis City Soccer.
It's a great title. What a season they had. That was fun.
Would you say that you're dancing, I mean, from the very first lesson to now, I mean, has it kind of changed the way you move?
Oh, for sure. I'm just like everyone else, normal people that really have no dance skills at all. And Liz has done a tremendous job of improving that to some degree. I do practice a lot of my own, to be transparent with you. I'll go leave Busch Stadium and go find a private room and practice my dance skills every once in a while, because I don't want to embarrass too much myself, but it's for a great cause. And definitely my dance abilities have gotten a little better. Hopefully by January 20th, they'll be right on.
Yeah, you'll be on the money. Chief Experiences Officer. I just remembered that's the title for Matt Seebeck. My buddy Jim Brennan, president of McKelvey Homes, also has been very much involved.
Yes.
Let me ask you, Matt Slater is with us, special assistant to the general manager, player procurement. You've been with Major League Baseball for a long time, 3 decades.
Yep.
You've specialized in going over to Japan, going to the Far East, the Pacific Rim, the Asian market, and seeing these players and the explosion of baseball. Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, this is not a shock to you, I would imagine, that the explosion in popularity and what they've done to this game.
No, certainly the talent level in Asia has always been at a tremendous level, and it's just increased over the last 5 to 10 years. It's something that you really need to uncork every possible avenue for talent in this world. And I fully believe that. I'm involved in the amateur draft. I'm involved in trades, waiver claims, Latin America signings. But the Asian market is one where the talent has already risen to that major league level, and you can acquire it and can have immediate impact on your club. So we've certainly gone down the path of several potential players this offseason. And we've explored different opportunities to acquire those players. And it's just an avenue to acquire talent. And that's what I do. I'm a talent hawk.
That's right. You, Mike Gersh, John Mozeliak, a number of others work in tandem to get this thing going. This organization has some pretty good depth in the minors right now in terms of pitching. I don't know how ready they are to break through, but it seems to me that the trades that you made last year was almost like, not a draft, but kind of like adding more draft choices.
Certainly, draft capital is something that we always like to accumulate. And due to our season that we were having, we were able to acquire talent mid-season that were equal to draft picks. TK Roby, Adam Kloffenstein, Thomas Sagisi, all these players were acquired at the trade deadline and will be at AAA this year knocking on the door. And you combine those with the already talented pitchers we'll have at AAA in Michael McGreevy, Gordon Graceffo, and such. We really feel like we got that next level of protection. We went out and signed 3 quality major league starting pitchers to go along with Miles and Steve, and then we'll see where it goes from there. We got these guys backing us up. Zach Thompson, Matthew Libator, certainly will provide protection throughout the year as well.
And one last baseball thing for me, your job is fascinating to me because you have to travel around the world, but I think you've embraced it and enjoyed watching our game grow around the country. How much do you enjoy what you do, and in terms of just getting out there and seeing a different world? I mean, Major League Baseball is just one part of this game.
Yeah, it's certainly a passion of mine. It has been since I started working in Major League Baseball when I was 19 years old, acquiring talent and seeing where that talent is from. One day I'll be in Medellin, Colombia. The next day I'll be in Lincoln, Nebraska. And the next day I'll be in Tokyo, Japan. So it certainly is a lot of work. It's a lot of travel. I'm blessed to have a wife that supports me through all these years to be able to do this. But talent comes from everywhere. And being able to acquire that talent means you got to go see it. You got to go meet with them. You got to convince them to want to be Cardinals. And that's what my job is.
That's Matt Slater, the assistant to the general manager of the St. Louis Cardinals, dancing with the St. Louis Stars on January 20th at the Ritz-Carlton to benefit Independence Center. Great to have him along with us. He mentioned right there, you heard what he said about the Cardinals and kind of their current situation. This was the first thing that he said when we visited.
Oh, for sure, especially after what happened this last season in 2023. It was very embarrassing for all of us, and we're just excited to get to 2024 and prove again to the great Cardinal Nation that we are a proud franchise and in a winning franchise.
Well, I mean, we'll see. Those are words and certainly big ones from Matt Slater, from John Mozeliak to Ollie Marmol to Bill DeWitt. I mean, we hear them all saying the same thing. Embarrassed, want to move forward, show everybody that we are a winning franchise. How you do that and don't wildly break the bank or wildly lose prospects is a focus of the team. You can tell. I mean, they want to get better, but they don't want to get crazy. And that does irritate the fan base, portions of the fan base, not everybody, but there are some fans who would like them to be aggressive. They see the Dodgers doing what they do. They see other teams doing what they do. I get it to an extent. I think you do have to be careful. You can't compare yourself to the Dodgers. But going out and doing what the Braves just did, getting Chris Sale, or what the Reds just did, getting Frankie Montas, that I understand. The want, and I'm not saying the Cardinals aren't going to do that. You want to see them add depth to the rotation, and I still believe that they are willing to spend for a big relief arm. I think that they know that they need to improve that bullpen. They can't just stand pat right now with what they have. The Cardinals do have some players they can trade if they need to for a young starter who's controlled. They do have money to go sign somebody if they need to as well. It's just a matter of finding the right deal. And also, it's a two-way street. Free agents have to want to come here too. And sometimes I think a free agent will look at the coast and get very attracted to the glamour life of living in LA, or the beaches of San Diego, or the streets of New York, and the spotlight and the flash bulbs popping and all that stuff. But there's something to be said about a great franchise that wins, that has a tradition of winning, and where you'll be treated like a king in this great baseball town. We'll see where it goes for the Cardinals, but their fans are rankled right now. Like I announced that, and the winter warm-up, by the way, is coming here January 13th to the 15th. There are some autograph tickets that are available. A lot of them are sold out, though. So I would look cardinals.com/WWU and get your winter warm-up tickets like today, because I think people are scrambling now after the holidays to grab them. But, I announced that January 18th, we're going to have a beef tenderloin dinner with 2 complimentary drinks with Ollie Marmol for $75. It's called Oliver Marmol Unplugged. It's a chance to visit with the Cardinals manager in a setting that's not on the air. And I think fans will jump on that. That thing's going to sell out, because it's a chance for them to really get some insight behind the scenes from Ollie as to what he's thinking and what's going on out there. But, I see the response on Twitter, and fans are like, pass, no, team stinks, blah, 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 that they're upset. They're upset. And this is a big turning point for the Cardinals organization to show what they're made of, and to show their fans and the rest of baseball what they're all about. It starts at the very top. It goes through the front office and through the manager and the players and the staff, and everybody is responsible for this. So we'll see where it all heads for the St. Louis Cardinals, but I think we're coming up on a big year for them. And I really do. I think they've got to put their foot down, and still need to add a piece or two before it's all said and done. And I think they're looking to do just that. We'll come back. We'll talk to another former Cardinal. This one, Dan Deerdorf, the Hall of Famer, next.
Broadcasting from the Underlaw Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Red Kingdom is back at Ballpark Village December 31st when the Chiefs face the Bengals. Enjoy the pre-party and get ready for kickoff just after 3:15. Grab your friends along with KMOX and Bud Light and huddle up for the game at the best watch party in town. For more details on how to reserve your table, head to KMOX.com/events. Watch the Chiefs with KMOX and Bud Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL. Easy to Sunday, easy to enjoy.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
St. Louis, thank you for choosing Underlaw as STL Today's 2023 best law firm. Although our work has always been about you, we are proud yet humbled to be acknowledged by the community we serve and love. At Underlaw, we will continue our mission to make a difference, one case at a time.
When you're injured, you need the best. Call Onder Law at 314 or 618-9000000.
When it comes to electricity, trust the professionals at Reinhold Electric. From residential to commercial to industrial, whatever that project is, maybe it's repairing, maybe it's replacing, maybe it's a brand new project, Reinhold Electric has the team and the equipment and the know-how to get the job done correctly. And they serve a large area. They work in Southern Illinois, Lake St. Louis, Lake of the Ozarks, Springfield, Kansas City. ReinholdElectric.com is their site. 314-631-1158 is the number. Tell them Bo sent you to Reinhold Electric.
The T.R. Hughes Homes for the Holiday Sale is going on now for the rest of the year with unbelievable savings. Hi, I'm Tom Hughes with T.R. Hughes Homes. We have several brand new completed T.R. Hughes homes that are ready now for immediate move-in. Some of these homes are already discounted between $30,000 and $50,000 off regular price, and each home will be discounted another $5,000 every week in December until they're gone. Wait a week or 2 or 3 for a lower price and take the chance someone else just bought your dream home. Wooded half-acre home sites in Arbor Valley and Winsville. A beautiful country setting in Riverdale, just 9 minutes from the St. Peter's Deerbergs, and Charlestown Landing in St. Charles City near Newtown. Don't miss this unbelievable chance to save tens of thousands of dollars on completed, move-in ready T.R. Hughes homes. This sale is over on December 31st. All of us at T.R. Hughes Homes would like to say thank you to the several thousand families that have trusted us to build your dream home over the last 30 years. From our family to yours, we would like to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a safe and prosperous New Year.
They're good.
Gooder than you can imagine.
And you can assure me that they've got it going on.
Most of St. Louis thinks so.
But my lips are turning blue. Are they fast?
My darling, Jerry Kelly can install a new furnace tomorrow, no matter what day tomorrow is, even if we call late night.
You are my hero.
Technically, Jerry Kelly is your hero, but I'll take it.
JerryKelly.com. They're fast and they're good and they got it going on. JerryKelly.com.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
In 1971, the St. Louis Cardinals drafted a fierce 290-pound competitor named Dan Deerdorf. Deerdorf headed an offensive line that yielded the fewest sacks in the NFL for 5 straight years during the 70s. This relentless right tackle punished would-be defenders, whether the Cardinals chose to run or pass.
I always thought that I went through my years in the NFL like I had blinders on, like I was a racehorse. I saw nothing but the upcoming game and my upcoming opponent. I really had the ability to rule everything else out and make it inconsequential.
Deerdorf would be denied only 1 Pro Bowl appearance from 1974 through 1980, securing his place in pro football history.
One of the guys that made us love football, that's for sure. Hall of Famer Dan Deerdorf is back on KMOX. Dan, great to talk to you. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine, Tom. If that audio clip had color, it'd be in black and white.
It's in cardinal red and white. I see you're 72 right now with a great, that's from the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And the Canton native Dan Deerdorf is with us. It's always fun to relive those great years. And I know you have great memories of those teams.
Well, more importantly, I think there's a lot of people in St. Louis that still, we had 2 professional football teams and lost them both, but I'm sorry. No apologies are necessary from the Cardinal fans and the St. Louis community as a whole. This is a good football town with a lot of good football fans, and they deserve better than to have both of our teams leave.
I hear that. Dan Deerdorf also made his mark on this radio station, a terrific broadcaster. He parlayed that into a wonderful career as an NFL broadcaster. Monday Night Football would be one of the highlights of that career, also working for years on CBS. How about Joe Buck on Monday Night Football? What are your feelings when you see your old friend Joe, who used to sit on your knee, I think, back in the day?
Well, obviously, I've been so proud of Joe for such a long period of time. He's he and Troy are such a great listen. They have been for years. And, I took a great deal of pride in being a part of Monday Night Football for a dozen years. And I was one of the people. I was upset when the NFL made a very conscious decision to devalue Monday night and make their marquee package Sunday night. I never understood why they chose to do that. Sunday Night Football will always be the third game of the day, and thus it's not unique. And that's where Monday Night Football, I think, was allowed for years to languish. And now the NFL, I think, is realizing that they need Monday Night Football to be stronger. And they're giving ESPN a better schedule. ESPN hired Troy and Joe, and I couldn't be happier that Monday Night Football is back.
I'm with you 100%. They do such a great job together, and I love the fact that they get all eyes on them for big games. They had a big one last night, Detroit and Dallas, and I thought they both explained the situation very well, a confusing situation. Obviously, everybody was confused. The officials, more so maybe than anybody else, about an ineligible receiver in the end zone, ended up going against the Lions. Tough way for the Lions to lose.
And I listened afterwards, and their official that ESPN has there said, well, let's not get fixated on the ineligible, whether he reported or not. They could have called one of three different penalties. It was an illegal formation. It was say with this about Dan Campbell, the coach of the Detroit Lions. He's not going to leave anything on the table. The guy is a gambler, and sometimes it works out, and that time it didn't.
I love seeing the Lions good, and those fans deserve it. I can't wait to see where they go in the playoffs. Took a bit of a hit in their seeding last night, but they have a lot still ahead of them. Also,
Detroit is such a great sports town, and the Lions, one of the franchises that's never won a Super Bowl, and I can't even imagine how berserk that entire area of southern Michigan would go if the Lions even made it to the Super Bowl. That's beyond a lot of people's wildest dreams.
I know. Can you imagine? Well, just 40 minutes to the west is Ann Arbor, Michigan, and it's been since 1997 that the Wolverines won a national championship. They are 2 wins away, Dan. It's always great to talk to you this time of year. Here we are again. And where do they sit? How is this year different than last year?
Well, last year we were pretty heavily favored to beat TCU and just laid an egg. Our J.J. McCarthy, our quarterback, threw 2 pick sixes. Nobody overcomes throwing 2 pick sixes in a football game, and they came close. They almost won it at the end. Any nonsense like that against Alabama will be catastrophic. The reality is Alabama is Alabama, whether they're the 1st seed, the 4th seed, or the 8th seed. It doesn't matter. Their talent level. Let's be realistic. Georgia and Alabama have 2 rosters that everyone else in college football looks at and just goes, wow, what I wouldn't give to coach that group. Just an example. Here we are undefeated again. We are a good football team. We have 3 5-star players on our roster. Alabama has 18.
I know.
I mean, I saw a mock draft. Our first guy was going to go in the 2nd round. Alabama has 4 guys who are going in the 1st round. I mean, they are what they are. They talk about you're playing golf Is it the arrow or is it the Indian? And the reality is with Alabama, it's not the X's and O's as much as it really is the Jimmy and Joes. They are a superior football team.
They really have a wonderful program, and they have maybe the best coach to ever do it. Dan Deerdorf is with us, with all respect to your coach, of course, Bo Schembechler, and the great Michigan program. And then you have Jim Harbaugh, who has his detractors, he has his supporters, and there's not much in the middle there. But I will say this about Harbaugh, and I watched him on game day yesterday, smiling and talking to the guys on the set, and I thought about his players. His team plays with so much heart and so much togetherness with everything that has surrounded him, controversy and penalties to the program before and then a suspension to him. His players play, and they have played without hesitation with everything that is surrounding him. That is a reflection of the coach.
There aren't many teams that had to overcome what Michigan has in terms of that they played 6 games, half their schedule, without their head coach. And they didn't let it. I have such admiration for the kids. None of this was their creation, and yet it's the hand that they've been forced to play. They could have complained about it, or they could have rallied around it, and they chose to rally. It is a team with a lot of veteran leadership, and that's where it showed up. The players took control and said, "Hey, we can either wallow in this or we can excel in it," and they chose to excel. So I have a lot of admiration for the group of players. And I'll just say one more thing about their relationship with Jim Harbaugh. Yes, Jim Harbaugh is quirky. Jim he moves to the beat of a different drummer. There's no doubt about that. But one thing that no one will ever dispute, his players adore him. He has never thrown a player under the bus. He's never publicly criticized one of his players. And they really do, Tom. They love Jim Harbaugh. They love playing for Jim Harbaugh, and they'll do anything to protect him.
It'll be fascinating tomorrow to see the matchup at the Rose Bowl, and it wouldn't be football season without having Dan Deerdorf's voice on KMOX. Great to have you back, Dan. Thanks for the visit very much.
Thanks, Tom. Sports on a Sunday morning. Been there, done that.
Yes, yeah. Big part of your history for sure. Thank you, Dan. Best to you.
You got it, Tom. Thanks. Bye.
Great to hear from Dan. Great to hear from all of you. Happy New Year. We'll catch you tomorrow on Total Information AM.
Says here that Gray Bar is a distributor.
Yeah, we support electrical and datacom projects all over the country.
So you can get me the products I need, where and when I need them?
Yeah, thanks to our national logistics network.
Any industry?
Yeah, construction, industrial plants, schools, hospitals.
So you could say Gray Bar is much more than a distributor.
Yeah, you could say that. When you need a hand powering, connecting, or maintaining your operations, join the thousands of professionals who rely on Gray Bar to help keep them up and running. Yeah, Gray Bar does that.
Happy holidays, St. Louis. It's your Congresswoman, Cori Bush, here to wish you a safe and joyful holiday season. Our office has proudly helped thousands of constituents over the years, and we are ready to help thousands more. We can assist you with Social Security and Medicare, tax refunds, passports, veterans benefits, small business loans, immigration, and more. Visit our website at bush.house.gov or call our office at 314-955-9980. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
2 ways to listen to KMOX in your car. 98.7 in the city, 1120 AM further out.